Hey everyone, VH here, and today we're going to be going through my Abyss Faction Guide 2025. Please like and subscribe. I'm releasing daily content, and I have plenty of other guides on my channel, including tier lists for all heroes and artifacts. So let's get into the Abyss Faction. General overview of Abyss is it's weak but niche. It has some essential heroes in it, but overall is kind of a weak faction. So first off, we've got must build heroes are those that are virtually essential in your account. Most of the time, the must build heroes will be support heroes that you only have to build up to level 9 or 10. They won't be part of your first team a lot of the time, but they'll be heroes that you put in and out of your team to help in certain game modes or certain waves. It's like cheese it. Your main carry heroes are your heroes that will be primarily your first E5, and they'll be the hero that you build your team around. They fall off at different points of the game. Some can go right to end game, others drop off mid game, some a bit before that. Next up is the supports. Obviously they're not your main hero, but they're there to fill out your team. The potentially viable could also be called niche or early game heroes. So it might be ones that are difficult to build around but can be useful. Could be supports that are good, but perhaps there is just others better. Or early game heroes that you can build because you get them very easily, but they do fall off very quickly. And then forever food. Food, guys, you can chuck these, use them as food, do whatever you want with them. You're not going to really be building them. Getting into essential builds, we've got two heroes here. First up, Waldeck. Waldeck's passive is why most people build him to 10 star. They use him as a suicide hero, same as Ignis to be fair, both of these guys. But he's got two different ways of being built, but we'll go through why he's considered essential build first. So when he dies, his passive skill, he bleeds all the opposition and grants all your team Blood Frenzy. Blood Frenzy, when they're attacked by a bled target, heals them and increases their attack. So you can see why he's really useful. If you put him front 9 and he dies straight off the bat, it just means that, yeah, one, the enemies are taking big damage, and two, your heroes are going to get passive heals and attack boosts when they're attacking them. And then we've got Ignis. Ignis again, suicide passive. Her death grants control immunity, heals 100% to health, and gives 100 energy to the hero in front of her. So obviously that's incredibly strong. We'll talk about her more in a bit in the support category, about why she's also a great support that you don't just have to build to 9 star. Main carry is Waldeck. So I'm going to talk a little bit differently about Waldeck. A lot of people build him as a suicide hero, but you can absolutely build him as your main carry and your first E5. His active skill does like a 3-person version of Blood Frenzy. So it does big damage, he heals on his active, and he's got great survival. So you can just build him, if you want, as your first E5. He doesn't just have to be a suicide hero. Next up is one of my top 3 heroes. Top 3 favourite heroes is Morax. Morax is very straightforward, which I think is why I like him. Just has this most brutal active skill that ramps up power gained from his basic. Just hits like an absolute truck. His passive ability increases his attack and his damage reduction bonus based on how low his health gets. So the lower his health gets, he gets extra damage boost and he takes less damage. And also his bonus passive skills are really strong. So he gets precision, crit and healing, like heal effect. So really nice hero to build around. He can be your main hero, or he could be a second hero if you pick a first one that needs a bit of extra damage. Someone like Eloise could do great with the Morax helping her out. Then we get into great supports. I've put Williams here. Williams is a strange one, great Transcendence hero. But his base copy can be your first E5, though I wouldn't recommend it. He has 2 different builds depending on how much energy he starts the round with. So if you start him with 100 energy, he gets attack boost and speed boost. If you start him with less than that, he boosts your team's holy damage, so you can consider him a support in that way. And his active skill does that too, depending on how he's built. So he's a funny hero, but you can build him lots of different ways, and you can turn him into a Transcendence hero later on down the road, so he's definitely worth having. Now Ignis, like Waldeck, I'm going to go into a bit more detail on Ignis. The suicide version of her is the essential build. I'm going to go through more of her actual support ability. So, like Waldheck, she has a watered down version of her death skill as her active. So, it heals, it gives 40% damage reduction and 100 energy to the hero in front of her. Her basic skill also heals and gives damage reduction. So, I like her as an all-round hero to have. Not many heroes do great healing in this game. They've done that to stop it being a bit stodgy. And just basically to make it so that you don't get these cheese teams where they're just out healing all the damage. But she does really nice healing. The energy is nice, damage reduction nice. Yeah, and I think she's a really good all-round support. Speaking of which, we've got Cruz. Cruz is just an easier to build version of Ignis. Cruz is going to be in the next bunch of heroes. He might already be in this bunch of heroes by the time you're watching this. That's going to go into basic shards. So he also does a healing on his basic attack. But he has a unique thing. So when he drops below 50% health for the first time, has a 75% chance to inflict stun on all the opposition. So obviously that's strong. His active skill hits 4 enemies and gives them weakness mark. Weakness mark means they take 50% more damage. So you can see why that would be also strong. He's not as good as Ignis, but he's a light version of her and he's easier to get hold of. So I'm still going to put him here. I think early game, 100% have a Cruz in your lineup if you can't get Ignis. And finally, Delacium. Delacium, I think, is a super cool hero who you have to build around, or rather build him into a specific team. But he replicates end of round, extra debuffs on the opposition heroes. He also, so depending on how many debuffs they've got, he does extra damage. So it's like a flat, so it's a percentage damage based thing. So if they've got 7 debuffs, he's hitting 7 extra times, and it can extend them. On his active skill, all kinds of debuffs. So that can be damage reduction, all damage received, all kinds of healing debuffs, all kinds of status debuffs. So he just does everything, and he's just really nice. You can ramp him up. He's like Alakita. You can ramp him up depending on your team build. I think he's underrated. There is some people that use him even late game, because again, if you're building up with Transcendence heroes that do huge dots, he can be incredibly powerful. And we're going to go into potentially viable. First up is Cthulhu. Cthulhu's a weird one. He burns and bleeds, and then he detonates burns and bleeds that your team's done as well on random enemies. But it caps at 2000%, which was really strong. Now it's not. Now it's just too weak, and it actually just caps your damage. Most of the time, your dots are going to equal more than 2000, so you're just wasting damage on him. He can ramp up, because when burnt enemies attack him, his attack goes up. So if you're building around him, I'm presuming you're going to build with burn and bleed heroes. So they're constantly going to be burn and bleed. So it's going to heal him, and it's then going to increase his attack, which then gives him obviously a higher cap on his detonation. Early game, 100% viable. As you move towards mid game, I think he just completely falls off. Next up is Nakia. I mean, Nakia just bleeds everyone all the time. That's like literally her job. So she does 15 round bleeds, which is insane. Every time she hits a bled opponent, she does more bleed damage. Every time she crits, she does bleed damage. Yeah, she's just insane. I think she's real specific synergy, but you can build around her and have loads of fun. And she could actually be your main hero, I think, in a very niche circumstance. But ideally, she'd be, like Delacium, your second or third. I just think there's other heroes out there that are better than her, but I still think she's a really fun build. Ignacia, her passive skill ramps up her all damage dealt, and then that impacts her active skill. She has Infernal Spore, which I think seems really useful. It's really difficult to tell with translations, and this is like literally I'm doing this video 3 days after she was released, right? So I don't know too much about her. I've looked into it, can't find too much. But when she damages opponents, because it's a spore, it damages the heroes around them. But it's capped twice, or that's what it says in the description. I'm not quite sure how the cap works. If it's how I read, I don't know how strong it's going to be. If they've kind of messed up the translation, she could be insane. So what I'd say is, if you're watching this anytime around July 2025, keep the copies, because she might be unreal. she could also just be a bit trash. We just don't know yet. And finally, Irania. I like Irania. She's just underwhelming. I think she could become super strong if the percentages were just a bit higher on like her attacks and her heals. Because she does some healing, she does some attacks, she does some burns. But none of it's enough. I think she's niche enough to be put here rather than food. Because on certain teams you could definitely work around her, work her into the team. And I actually like a Transcendence hero. I think she's really underrated as Transcendence hero. So I'm keeping her here rather than food. Like Nakia and Cthulhu, they could all fit into the same kind of team. And you could build around that. Get Flame Strike in there as well. Why not? So yeah, that's how I've decided to rank them. I'm done. I really appreciate you for still listening or watching. Please like and subscribe. I've got more daily content coming. Please look at my other guides, my tier lists on artifacts and heroes. And yeah, I really appreciate you being here. Have a good evening. VH out.